So before we get started, I just want to remind people that this is what takes place consistently in America, right? This is not a story about a young guy that was involved in, the wrong lifestyle or making the wrong life choices. This is about a young girl who ended up having her life taken by police, and several of the members of a fire department decided to make light and to make a joke about the life of this young black girl.
Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
Need to address, well, first of all, no, I don't think America is a racist country.
And this video has been brought to you by racism. Racism is accepted wherever true Americans are.
Perfect.
One of Darby Township's 3 volunteer fire companies has been suspended after another fire company allegedly heard them using racial slurs and disparaging black residents in a virtual meeting. Barclay Fire Company volunteer apparently failed to disconnect from the online meeting in January with local officials and the 2 other firehouses. The meeting was to discuss emergency services as well as possibly merging the 3 volunteer fire companies. Members of the Goodwill Fire Company made the audio recording. Delaware County District's Attorney's Office plans to investigate the allegations. In the nearly 2-hour conversation, Barclay firefighters allegedly moaned how the time had come to leave the township because black residents continued moving into the area. They also allegedly used racial slurs when talking about members of the township's 3rd volunteer firehouse. The firefighter is alleged to have mocked the name of an 8-year-old black girl who was killed by police gunfire in Sharon Hill last summer. Whether or not the crime occurred, hate speech is always morally wrong. Timothy Boyce, director of the Delaware County's Department of Emergency Services, stated that there will be no gaps in services due to the Barclay suspension. Barclay and Goodwill Fire Companies cannot be reached for comment, and Barclay's Facebook page appears to have been deleted. Here is the story of the 8-year-old girl who had her life taken by police. This was dated Wednesday, September 29th of 2021. Her name is Fanta Ability. Gunshots that killed an 8-year-old girl and wounded 3 other people after a suburban Philadelphia high school football game last month were fired with near certainty by local police officers. Fanta Ability had her life taken on August 27th when a verbal confrontation between a group of young men escalated into gunfire near the entrance of the Academy Park High School stadium. Gunfire erupted about the same time that spectators were leaving. The 3 police officers standing opposite the exit opened fire after a car turned onto the street directly in front of the officers. DA's Criminal Investigation Division has identified suspects involved in the initial confrontation. Arrests were expected. DA stated that he petitioned the county's president judge to impanel an investigative grand jury to consider evidence and possible criminal charges against the officers. Additionally, the DA stated that a special investigations unit is reviewing the officers' discharge of their weapons. Former Philadelphia District Attorney Kelly Hodge has been hired to investigate police department policies and the conduct of the officers involved. The 3 Sharon Hill Police Department officers are on administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. Castor Jr., a former prosecutor who represents the Ability family, stated that he is very satisfied that the district attorney is doing everything he can that should be done. Castor stated that the shooting victims that day included Ability, her 12-year-old sister, and a 13-year-old boy. They were wounded in the shooting. Castor also represents a 20-year-old woman who was a passenger in the car and injured by shattered glass. So this is what they decided to do, right? They wanted to be racist on a time where taxpayers, they're paying them in order to do the job that they do, right? These are the people that are supposed to, risk their lives and go in for you, right? Whenever there's a fire. These are the people that's supposed to, give you oxygen when it's hard for you to breathe because of smoke inhalation. These are the people that are supposed to perform CPR when they rush into a burning building and you're unconscious because of the fumes that are there. You can't really breathe. They're responsible for your life. They're responsible to bring you back to the land of the living. They're responsible to put out the fire right in your neighborhood when a home is burning so that other homes don't catch fire. And these are the same exact people that decided that it would be a great time, an awesome time, if we just sit here and laugh on the community's money, on taxpayers' money, and we make fun of a young girl who ended up losing her life because of violence that was taking place. And it wasn't even right directly because of the two young men. It was because of the officers that were there in the vicinity that just started firing. Imagine that. Imagine that. The police are the actual ones, right? They're the actual trigger men, right? That ended up taking the life of that young girl. And the firefighters, who are in a sense in the same line as the police, meaning, brothers, of a different type of field, but still, brothers in uniform, they decided that, hey, let's make a joke about this, right? Let's also talk about black people in the community and, how they're bringing down the community. Let's talk about how they're bringing down the value. Let's talk about how the crime has escalated only solely due to the fact that black people are coming here. Not like crime has already been there and we just decided to ignore it because it's of our own kind. It's from people that look exactly like us. No, 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 no. We're going to focus on what the black people are doing, what they're bringing to the table, right? And it's a lot of people out here that continuously body block and that will continuously say that racism doesn't exist, that things like this don't happen. And the most interesting thing is, I'm not even worried about the true Americans because it's within their DNA. That's what they're born to do, right? It's just within them. It's woven in them. It's like, racism is a quilt and it's covering America. It's built that way. It is what it is. And it's always going to be that way up until a new generation comes through and they're like, yo, out with the old, in with the new. And the most interesting thing about this, like I said before, it's not the true Americans that's doing it. You have other black people that are excusing this nonsense and overlooking this nonsense. Like I said, it's pretty interesting. And it's pretty telling who those individuals are, right? Because they would never showcase a story like this on their platform. They would never hashtag for this little girl. They wouldn't talk about gathering donations for this little girl. They would never talk about marching for this little girl. They would never talk about bringing awareness for this little girl because it goes against their platform. It goes against the type of way that they want to skew the narrative on certain things to make it seem like, oh, racism doesn't exist. If racism does exist, then the most racist people of all are black people. And I'm sorry to say this, but I'm black, I have a platform, and I'm telling you this. So if I'm black, I have a platform, I'm telling you this, it has to be true, right? That's the way that they want to narrate that. That's the way that they want to curate that story, which is all well and great because what they want to do is get money at the end of the day. So how else to get money but to narrate something that makes one group feel better and it basically diminishes the value of another group, aka black people, right? While being able to sit up there and make a buck, right? At the end of the day, like I said, no problem with it. Do whatever it is that you want to sit up there and do. But as I stated before, it's all fun and games and it's all great making money up until everything that I and many other people talk about on YouTube and in the black media sphere, up until what we talk about here happens at their doorstep. It happens to one of their loved ones. It happens to one of their kids. It happens to one of their neighbors, one of their coworkers. And then reality now is setting in. But they're still fighting against it because they have a certain narrative that they have to deliver in order to continuously get those sponsorships, in order to continuously get those dollars, in order to continue to get those donations, and also in order to continue to get people to buy whatever it is that they are directly selling to those masses. Like I said before, racism does exist. It doesn't matter how minor. It doesn't matter how massive it is. It's the point that it exists, and it still exists because those of the old have passed on whatever they feel and believe onto a newer generation in order to continue on carrying that torch of hate, bigotry, and discrimination. And that's clearly what you're seeing from these firefighters at this moment in time, who decided to make light of a situation where a young girl ended up having her life taken, not in a sense by the young men that were the first part of the story, but it was by the response team, aka the police, who are there to protect and serve and to make sure that everything is what it is. And that's not what the police did that day. That's not what they did. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I listed in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.